WCNC Charlotte. This is Flashpoint, where power and politics collide and the tough questions get asked and answered.
Thanks for joining us here on Flashpoint. I'm Ben Thompson. In most states, the Secretary of State is responsible for overseeing the election. In North Carolina, that job is done by the State Board of Elections. Instead, the Secretary of State is tasked with strengthening the state's economy and working with businesses. Elaine Marshall has been the Secretary of State here in North Carolina for more than 30 years, and this year she's running for 4 more. She's going to be challenged by Republican Chad Brown, a county commissioner in Gaston County, looking to be the first Republican North Carolina Secretary of State in more than 100 years. Secretary Marshall, thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming back on the show. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity.
As you know, you are no stranger to elections. You've been in public office now, I think about almost 30 years now. Why?
When you combine, yes, yeah.
Yeah, why do you want to stay in this job 4 more years?
Well, certainly it's fun, it's challenging, and I'm really hitting my stride on rural economic development. Our rural-urban divide is just really unconscionable. We have counties that are on the point of almost dying. Young people don't come back. It's a terrible thing for families. It's a brain drain. And we need their leadership. We need economic opportunity to grow from within, because a lot of these counties are not going to attract an industry that's going to come and hire 100, 200, 300 for a whole variety of reasons. So it's got to be homegrown businesses. And my program, Rural Rise, RISE, stands for Resources for Innovators, Startups, and Entrepreneurs. Now, the information that we're spoon feeding these people that form new businesses is not unique to rural areas. Urban areas need it also. So the same information that we're pushing out there is good for every business, startups and older ones. But we're particularly emphasizing the rural area because the ecosystem for entrepreneurs is not very thick. It's thin in these areas, and people don't know that there are resources that the state, federal, and other governments, nonprofits provide to them in a lot of cases for free to get started. So there's a wealth of information out there, but a lot of entrepreneurs do not know about it. And so we're trying to help them learn and particularly get them credit worthy so that if they need a loan, they can go get it, and help them with government regulations, because business counselors can help them fill out the forms that they find just almost impossible to fill out. So there are trained people out there to help, but people don't know it. So we're trying to be the big microphone, because we're the very first one who knows when somebody wakes up in the morning and says, today's the day I'm going to start my business.
We touched on it before your interview. A lot of people hear Secretary of State and they think you're a foreign diplomat. But if they think something else, they probably think you're in charge of elections. Explain what it is. You touched on it in your first response, but explain exactly the responsibility of Secretary of State in North Carolina and why it's so different than what people may expect it to be.
Right. Our mission is to support economic development in this state. And we do that through the formation of businesses, LLCs, corporations. We do that by supporting the bank lending database of liens called Uniform Commercial Code documents. We do that through the notary program, which is administered here. And in some of these areas, I have law enforcement authority. We do that through vetting out investment opportunities that are being offered to North Carolina, and actually regulate all of the stockbrokers and investment advisors in this state, and have law enforcement authority if some of them become rogue, or the people that are just not licensed at all, that are pure out and out crooks. We have law enforcement authority to go after them as they attempt to scam North Carolinians, particularly seniors. And we do a lot of education with seniors to kind of raise their awareness about the kind of things that they should be looking for when they're approached to make an investment. So we have a lot of business infrastructure. We also assist the registers of deeds with land records and some of their contracting and indexing to make sure that there's a consistency across the state. So there are 200 different statutes. And you did mention international, and we do have some small statutes for that. And we have international functions and protocol here. But we are infrastructure for a lot of the business functions of this state. Every day, people look at our database to make buy, sell, lend, borrow, invest, insure decisions to make sure they're doing their due diligence. Banks are a heavy user of our office to do the due diligence before they open an account, and just on and on and on. We support a lot of businesses in small puzzle piece ways so that they can have adequate business information to make an informed decision.
You've said several times that cybersecurity, one of your biggest priorities in your job. Elaborate on what your office can keep doing going into a next term if you are elected.
Well, cybersecurity is a race without a finish line. So cybersecurity has always got to be top of mind. You mentioned international. There are foreign actors who do think that the Secretary of State's office in a state can be a conduit to the federal Secretary of State's office, and certainly nothing is further from the truth than that. But we have valuable data information here. We have some confidential information, and cybersecurity is number one. We are constantly testing and self-evaluating, have third-party validators to come test and see where vulnerabilities might be. We believe in redundancy. We believe in multiple layers of protection. We have some, I can't tell you too much about some of them because that would be giving away the farm, but we have ways of telling if someone approaching our website is coming from an international source and that the computer that they're using is either in Chinese or Cyrillic or some other language. We have pattern detectors when folks come and try to get the open information that we have, but they have kind of suspicious patterns. We can identify those kinds of things.
You were the first woman elected. You were the first woman elected to statewide office back in 1996. Do you consider yourself a trailblazer?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I know that I've opened doors for a lot of other women. Some I know, and a lot of them I don't know. It's amazing when somebody stops me on the street, a mom, a dad, and introduces me to their daughter or granddaughter and say, she opened doors for you. She achieved one of the highest levels in this state. Just to show them what a person is like, that we're not some kind of robot or something, to be in these offices, that we're human beings, and that personal touch is very, very, very important to have other people identify with you, if possible, that you're a real life human being. And I'm a farm girl from Maryland. I was not raised in this state. I didn't go to school in the state until I went to Campbell University. I don't have those networks. So if you work hard and you have a good game plan and a good education, you can achieve in this state. And I think that's what parents and grandparents want to show their daughters in particular.
Let me ask you the other end of that question, and it's a hard question to ask, but a lot's been made about age when it comes to presidential candidates. Do you think age should be a factor in deciding people's elected office?
Well, I think experience is what matters. And with age comes experience and wisdom. And as long as you demonstrate that you're physically able and mentally capable, that should not be an issue. I'm blessed with pretty good genes. I come from a family of long livers, and I'm just here for, I've got the energy to do the job, the intellectual capacity, and of course I surround myself with good people who know my mission and know how to accomplish that.
Secretary of State Elaine Marshall. Secretary, thanks for coming on. Good to speak to you again.
Thank you very much.
Coming up next, we hear from Republican candidate for Secretary of State, Gaston County Commissioner Chad Brown.